All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to call this Green Valley Special Utility District meeting to order for December 19th. Time is 9 o'clock. If everybody can stand for the invocation and pledge, or sorry, back up. We have a quorum. All board members are current and accounted for, so that part's out of the way. Now for the invocation. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this year. You've blessed us beyond belief for everybody that has been a part of this team and all the opportunities Green Valley has been experienced with. We hope that 2025 is another great year to come, and we hope that you give this board the knowledge and wisdom to make those right decisions to push this organization forward. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, public comments. Do we have any public comments at this time? No? Anybody care to speak? 3 minutes. Got a big crowd. All right, thank you. Moving on to agenda item D. All items listed below are considered to be routine, non-controversial by the board and will be approved by one motion. There will be no discussion of these items unless the board members so request, in which case the items will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered and action taken as necessary as part of the order of business. We have items D1 through D5. Does everybody have time to review all those documents? If so, I'll take a motion.
No one has any comments. I'll make a motion that we approve consent agenda items D1 through D5.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Sherman, a second by Ms. McDaniel. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Ayes have it. All right, we're gonna hear the updates on agenda item E of the following items from GVSG General Manager, staff, and committee chairs. E1, employee recognition, Mr. Gage.
Okay, good morning, Board of Directors, and good morning, everyone that's listening online. So this morning, every month we start out and we want to recognize some employees, so a little bit different this month. This year, we've started a new tradition by recognizing our employees for longevity and how many years that they've served, the customers of Green Valley. We've handed out most of these awards, but there's a few that I missed, and I want to police those up today. So I've got 3 gentlemen joining me today, 2 with 5 years of service and 1 with 11 years of service. So I'll just call them up and congratulate them and present them a little token on behalf of Green Valley, as customers and the board for the faithful service to Green Valley. So the first guy up is Mr. Eric Dilling.
Bill, 5.
That's 5 years. 5 years for Eric. Okay, we have 5 years for Tommy Bootnagel. Need to put some Windex on there. Okay, then we have John Barnes, 11 years. Appreciate you. Okay, also, this morning I have 3 employees to recognize just for outstanding support and volunteering in the community. So we did three parades this year. We did the Seguin Parade, we did the Shirts Parade, we did Cibolo. And I can tell you the Shirts Parade was kind of wet and rainy, and the Cibolo Parade almost rained on us, but it turned out pretty good. But there's a lot of effort that went into the float and driving the float and doing all those things. So I'm recognizing 3 people here. And first of all, Ms. Kim Hutchinson, please come up. She is the float guru amongst most of her other talents. But, and Kim was wondering when she was ever going to get a coin, but today she gets one. Okay, then we got Eric Orlowski, right? So Eric was our designated driver for the float, 3 times. And Eric's family came with him each time. His sons and his wife participated, and it was great to have a family out there supporting the float, so I appreciate it, Eric. Okay, and we got Matt Rodriguez, and he helped on the float because I don't really know what he does at Green Valley. Matt's one of our inspectors, and he was out helping us and, doing all the things that it took to get the float down the road, so I appreciate it, Matt, so here you go. And Travis, this is the first place trophy from Cibolo. So we did win the Cibolo Best Float Trophy, so we'll have that in the lobby there. And appreciate the support from the board doing that.
Mr. Gates, I just got one question for you. Who,
Mr. Robinson, microphone.
oh, it is on.
I can't hear you, sir.
He's on.
Okay.
Just wonder who came up with the idea of the water tower design. That was a stroke of genius.
Well, okay, so the idea for the float, we had a committee back there, they drew this picture on the wall and on a whiteboard. And I gotta be honest, it looked ridiculous at first, and I didn't think they could pull it off, but they did. So the water tower was really just a big old piece, what's that, C900 pipe, I guess, in the bottom of it?
I've lost the computer 1 second, sir.
You lost me?
Yes, sir.
But anyway, that's what it was. And so the team came up with it, they drew it on the board, we just made it happen, but
It really stood out.
Actually, Pam's the one that came up with the waterfall,
Oh, did she?
and then Phil's the one that designed the water tower.
Oh, we're gonna take credit.
Well, I mean, I hope we have a glass case somewhere in the building where we can start stacking trophies, because this is awesome. I mean, the fact that we did Cibolo, and then we had a break, and we did it again, and we took first, we gotta defend our title. I mean, at this point, so.
Yeah.
So next year, we gotta go bigger, so Kim, working on those ideas, and guys, you guys stay, sorry. So keep it up, good job on that, thank you.
Sure beats the Pump and Malt.
Yeah, it's, yeah, more creativity on that.
Rolls for the best candy.
Y'all can go do something.
Thank you.
Y'all have a
Appreciate
whole
y'all.
year now to start
Thanks, guys.
planning for the next float.
Yeah.
They've already talked about it.
All right, so we'll go to agenda item E2, business and operations, Mr. Gage.
Mr. Frias, we lost the whole meeting. Hold on 1 second, sir.
I will take a pause for the
They drop it off.
China.
We didn't pay our internet bill.
I mean, we pay everything else.
What'd it do?
The whole computer is shut off.
Oh, everything just went down?
It's coming back. Can I get a mic check, sir?
Mic check. Good.
Okay, I've got the mic. Give me a second.
Okay.
Okay, back up. All good, sir.
All right, we're back after commercial break. Time is 9:09.
We're going to agenda item E2, general manager's updates.
Okay, directors, you do have a memo in your packet for the update, so I'll just hit a couple of highlights. On staffing today, we were at 55 employees. We did add Mr. Ezekiel Martinez and Damian Perez to wastewater, and we've added Taylor Dace Bradley on the water side. They're all new employees. So as of today, we have Daniel Ramirez onboarding for wastewater, so that'll bring us up to a total of 56 after this week. So that's right on plan and doing well. So no issues there. I'll highlight two other things. I'll skip over surplus vehicles and I'll go down and talk a little bit about well 2 maintenance. because this is I think it's a pretty good news story and a good news story for our customers as well. We were able to do maintenance on a well that's been in the ground for about 21 years. And we did a complete rebuild on the well. It was quite worn out. A lot of the bushes and things on the well shaft and motor and all the parts associated with it. We're able to get that done. We did get in under budget, so that was good. We budgeted 125 and we came in just a little shy of 100 on that project. So we have more to do. That's just an example of one of the things us, investing our money back into the infrastructure that we have. And you'll see more of that as we start planning, years out ahead, but that's already executed. And the one thing that I want to talk about for a quick minute is the TCEQ impact fee approval process that we're in right now. So we did get the notice from TCEQ that we have to put out in the public, for 2 consecutive weeks and area newspapers. We've executed that. The notices will run on the 15th and the 22nd. And then on the 23rd, we have a 30-day clock that begins, and that's the time period where someone could come in if they want to request a contested hearing or something about the impact fee that we set. After that time period, we'll get the official notification, and then the new impact fee will go into effect at that time. So originally, when we started this trip, we estimated that it would be in second quarter, and it's going to be in second quarter. We originally said March. We might get it done in February. Depends on how quickly TCEQ moves. But that's a good news story. We're right where we need to be in terms of that. And so, pending any questions from the board, that's all I had for the general manager updates.
Any reaction from any of the developers' environment on that, or is that something for executive?
Well, no, but I'll generally say here, everyone is aware that we're having to adjust our fees, and everyone is aware of the reason why we have to adjust our fees. I mean, when you're growing at a rate of about 1,000 meters per year, development has to support development. So we keep that out of the pockets of our current ratepayers. And so, yes, everyone's well aware. We're in dialogue with a lot of developers almost every day as they're trying to get their documents turned in appropriately. So yes, it's having an effect. Folks are well aware of it. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you for the updates. Any questions, concerns? Nope. Moving on. Going to operations update. You already covered that pretty much, right?
On the operations update, I just want to highlight one thing on the first page. Well, it's actually 2 things. On the first page, our wastewater flow is very important to us. And you can see our trends at the bottom. We're at 36% capacity or 0.09 MGD going through our Santa Clara plant. Travis mentioned here during his update, the wastewater master plan is going well. They did their flow projections this week, had a meeting on that. And I think in January, we're going to give you like an in progress update for wastewater. But all of this matters because following actions today are all associated with increasing the capacity of Santa Clara. So we're watching our wastewater very closely, and that's where we are at the moment. The only other thing that I want to highlight on the wastewater report is just the number of meters that we have in the ground. So we do have 18,451 as of today. 511 of those are inactive, meaning the meter's there, but the account's not established yet. So we have 17,940 active water accounts as of this month's report, and that's just marching upward. It's continuing to grow. So something I just want to point out to the board. So pending any questions, I have nothing else really to highlight on the operations report.
Very good. All right, thank you very much. Go to E3, CRWA Board of Trustees post-meeting updates. Ms. McDaniel and Mr. Sherman.
So I'll lead off. Phil and I were at the CRWA meeting. Couple items. CRWA has been having trouble with accuracy of some of their documents. Mr. Gibbs pointed out that there was an error in the actual appointment paperwork from Ms. Sherry, so you wouldn't have been able to be appointed, officially appointed in anyway at the meeting. So CRWA has got to clean some of that up. The drought report, we're marching ever forward to stage 4 water restriction. We need rain in Cary County to drain down and fill Lake Dunlap. So don't just look locally, look to the northwest for rain as well. Once we hit stage 4, there's a mandatory 15% curtailment. But CRWA does not as yet have a method to enforce that onto customers such as ourselves. So Mr. Everett was going to be working on that. You might remind him of that, Phil. We had another project that we're working on to expand the water treatment plant at Lake Dunlap. The opinion of probable cost came in at 1.8 million. There's only 900,000 budgeted, and that is out for bid. So they're going to come back to CRWA trustees in January looking for approval of that. My question to staff was, what is the plan for that delta between what we've got budgeted and the actual cost? And they didn't have an answer. I asked for an answer before we're asked to vote on that next month. So Sherry will be looking for that. The slight modification to how Alliance feeds Lake Dunlap is slated for the end of the year. And then we had the real reason for this, the whole meeting normally would be canceled in December. Again, in November, there was an error in the paperwork to award an upgrade to some wells. This is the 920 additional acre feet that Green Valley is splitting evenly amongst ourselves and two other customers. The paperwork was presented correctly, and the total cost of that was just shy of 1.4 million, which was right where we expected it to be. Our cost will be a third of that. And so Carrie and Phil are coordinating that. But that was the main item, getting that job awarded, which it passed. So that should take about a year, and then we'll receive 316 additional acre feet of water. 306. My math was wrong. Thank you for correcting me in front of
Okay.
everyone.
All
Any
right.
questions? Did I miss anything, Phil?
No, sir.
All right, we'll jump into the board managers update. Mr. Gage.
So for board of managers, you have a memo in the packet there. So in addition to what Mr. Sherman was talking about, try to go in a little deeper in the board of managers meeting. So 2 items, paragraph 3 and 4, we talked about the generators again, and of interest to us, really is the generators at Wagner Booster Station. And so they're tied up, in this issue they have with that generator contract. So I'm keeping that high on the agenda. Like every opportunity I get, I talk about the generators at Wagner and what the impact's going to be to GV Sud, for backup power there. The last paragraph I want to highlight to you guys because CRWA is getting a little more accurate and useful in their reporting, and I want to give them some props for doing this. But just in the numbers, right? So we have 7455 and a little bit of change of acre feet of water contracted right now. That doesn't include any water delivery from ARWA at the moment. So far, our consumption this year is 5131. So this month we'll add, a few hundred to that. So I think we're going to end shy of about 6,000 used from that capacity that we have contracted, there at CRWA. And I think it's also important to note that in 24, everyone is below usage than 23. Right. So like all the water utilities, it was just the weather this particular year. I don't know if it was wetter really, but it was certainly cooler than it was in 23. And you see that effect, and that affect's just not to Green Valley, it's across the board. And you see it reflected in their reports as well. And then the last thing I said, or last thing we did, we agreed in the board of managers to set up a meeting in January, particularly between Green Valley and CRWA, to talk about how we're going to track accurately the 730 acre feet of water that we have delivered from ARWA to our CRWA take point. Right now, there's not a mechanism for that. So operationally speaking, we have to get into it and sort out how that's going to be tracked, how we're going to be charged and all that. And so they agreed, the board of managers agreed that Green Valley and CRWA will discuss that in January and figure out how we're going to do that operationally. But that's all I have to add from CRWA.
Thanks for keeping us on that list of booster stations and generators. ARWA Board of Directors, Mr. Sherman.
Yes, we had our monthly meeting yesterday. And It was not a great meeting. We were reported for the first time that the water treatment plant is not making its designed production. We should be capable of making 19.5 MGD and it is producing 9. So less than 50% of its designed capacity. Phil was on the call as well. We spoke about it afterwards, fairly surprised at only hearing this now. The contractual timeline to have the full capacity is May of 2025. And there are other participants, member entities that are in significantly worse water supply shape than we are. City of San Marcos, City of Buda, we're very not happy to hear this. And again, they were hearing it for the first time. The solution and the directive the executive director has given to our design team is to have it fixed, a temporary fix by May of 2025. And the temporary fix is very similar to CRWA, where they want to bring in skid mounted treatment. Well, skid mounted treatment is additional cost. We don't know which manufacturers we're going to utilize. We don't know if they're available. There were a lot of questions that we didn't have the answers to. The reason we're not making the production is the iron content of the groundwater is higher than expected. When someone asked, why was it not what we expected? We took estimates of the quality of the water during the design phase. Then when we drilled our wells and we were getting actual production, we discovered that the iron content was elevated and we hoped that it would be reduced on its own. And then we find ourselves here today. So the higher iron content causes the filters to have to backwash much more frequently than designed. We're anticipating 24 to 30 hours on each filter before they backwash. We're getting 6 hours. That's the issue. So I only found out about it yesterday. I know Phil and I spoke about it. I called John to make sure he was aware, but not great. And I should have more information to report after the January.
Oh, boy. Okay, so as far as the flow to us, is that going to impact the inventory calculations on our end? I would assume.
That's some of the things that were discussed.
So even though you have that issue at CRWA's take point, for us, that flow rate calculations aren't going to be good. And you said the due date was May?
May of 2025.
So what happens if we get to May and we don't get that? They're in breach at that point of our contract. And then at that point, that's water we expected, we invested in, we spent millions of dollars on bonds to, get this project up and running. Shan, can you start looking into what protections we have financially? Because if they're going to come back to us and say, we need to, buy this equipment or rent these equipment out until we can get the problem solved, for us to take on more financial burden after everything, can you kind of prepare something just where our position would be?
Yes, absolutely. I can talk a little bit more about these issues in executive session as well.
Okay, we'll do that as well. So we'll take some of this matter into executive session.
And then the only other item from ARWA that's noteworthy to this board is we re-upped the annual contract for construction inspection. I'm on the technical committee where we dive into the details of most of these items. And in the technical committee, they did not have an hourly rate per individual staff members. They just had a grand total of estimated hours for the year and a grand total of dollars. So I said, hey, let's get a table. Let's know what people make. So they did add that in before the board as a whole took action. So
you would think normal business practice like that would be done and not accepted.
it was information that was known, just not presented. And I wanted to make sure it was documented so we knew.
I'm glad you're asking those questions because
If Sherry's, cost is 4 times per hour more than mine, well, let's have me go out there and do the
Yeah.
work instead of Sherry was my thought, to be as efficient as possible. So those were the two major items from ARWA.
Okay, well, thank you for your efforts on that. Keep it up. All right, we're going to agenda item E6, district engineer update. Mr. Travis.
Morning.
Warren.
I'm just gonna kind of give a brief high notes update on the projects we have and ongoing right now, and then a little update on our capital improvement stuff we've got going. Currently, we have 110 projects total active. 5 of them are in closeout, 56 are in construction, and we've got 49 in design. On the capital improvement side, we've got some exciting stuff coming up. Obviously, we've got the Santa Clara wastewater treatment plant we're gonna recommend an award today. Yesterday, we worked with the team at Garver on our wastewater master plan, doing some population and flow projection workshop, and I've got some pretty neat information to show you guys next month from that. And then we've also kicked off our Plant 10 rehabilitation project to get that plant back online and back in the system. And so it's got some neat stuff coming up, and hopefully these updates will be a little bit more robust with the construction starting on the treatment plant and things of that nature moving forward. But any questions?
No delays, material delays, anything like that projected for
No,
completion?
on the wastewater treatment plant, it was kind of built into the schedule.
Okay, so there's padding in there just in case.
We were, not necessarily, adding in a little bit. We asked the contractors which manufacturer they were going to use, and we've kind of estimated lead times on some of those, and that was part of the scoring decision.
Cool, thank you. Any questions, concerns? No? All right, we'll go to E7, committee reports, E7I, construction committee memo, Mr. Sherman's construction committee.
I don't have anything else to add to the memo. We met to review the items in agenda item H. Travis, I will say, based on the new information we've learned yesterday from ARWA, do we need to be concerned about the Givens and Rittiman tract, since part of our capacity we were going to utilize was through ARWA phase 1? Or
We'll have to check it. I'll have to check into that. I'll read the feasibility report again and see.
Okay.
It was kind of brought to me yesterday, late in the day, so I wasn't.
Well,
aware.
our ARWA meeting was started at 3, so,
But yeah, that's something we'll look into.
Okay.
I think in the short term, we probably have capacity, but long-term full build out, we need to look into that.
And Mr. Sherman, to that end, what we're going to do also in January is we're going to pull in, Gary, our main consultant for, the feasibility studies. And we're really going to take a hard look at inventory over time, because we've had some changes, and I think we're going to talk about some more of those changes a little bit later in executive session today. That's going to change our overall inventory, not in the immediate. We have no immediate problems, but we're talking a decade in the future is what we need to start looking at. So we're gonna do that in January to make sure we got all of our T's crossed and I's dotted on it.
I've got my staff right now looking through all of our contracts, totaling up everything and make sure, we're going to kind of pull the Santa mentality of checking the list twice.
I appreciate the accuracy that we're gonna see. Awesome, thank you for that. Any questions on the memo? No, we're good. All right, thank you for that. Go to item F, recommendation to award the 0.5 MGD Santa Clara wastewater treatment plant expansion. Mr. Montgomery.
I was
Or
going to go ahead and take
Travis.
this one.
Yeah.
On December 11th, we opened up bids from a competitive seal proposal bids. We had 3 qualified bidders, all great contractors. We sent out scoring sheets with the competitive seal proposal. It's scored, and we sent out scoring sheets to the design team, GVSUD engineering, which is myself, and then our wastewater staff. And with those scores, they were all pretty close. We all didn't get, as in scores, we all didn't get a similar score, but on average, we were pretty close. And with the scoring, what it was, myself, the wastewater staff, and UEG recommends awarding the highest net score bidder, which would be Archer Western, with a total combined project cost of $15,051,545. This price does include three alternative items, the lift station pump alternatives, the vacuum and pump truck dump basin, and then a temporary construction access off of the I-10 frontage. Archer Western has provided all the recommended documents, including insurance, information required for the bid, and the contractor certification and bid bonds. The district does have $11,643,000 for funds available to go towards this project. The additional funds to make up the delta will have to come from kayak fees.
Yeah.
Got any questions?
So-
Say that last
agreeing?
part one more time again, so everybody knows the math.
The additional funds, oh, you want me to read the bond?
Well, yeah,
The bond was approved for $11,643,000. And the additional funding will need to come from kayak fees.
we're looking about another 4 million
Yes.
out of kayak.
Do we know what the kayak balances are? Do we have 4 million is,
We
we could
could-
cover it?
I know we just, I'm not gonna say we have 4 million currently, but we do have probably half.
We've got quite a few projects coming online too in the near future that will contribute to that kayak fee.
All right, and then I'm making my notes here. So our total bid amount was 15 million.
51,545.
And that included alternates number
Yes.
2, 3, and 4. Is that correct?
It was
That'll be easier for me to say than the description.
alternate item 2, 4, and 5. 1 and
4,
3 were left out.
Okay.
And the numbers here on the bid tab totals, you'll see MGC was the low bidder. Archer was the second low bidder. When you eliminate those two items off the alt bid, it's a difference of $27,000 in the two bids. So it brings numbers a little bit closer. And one of the things with Archer was that they presented a schedule that was on our timeline. And so their schedule they presented to us meets the timeline.
Was everybody else's longer
Yes,
by how much?
couple months,
Couple
at least a
months?
couple months. One was a little bit, and really what drives their schedule is procurement of
Yeah.
materials. And so some of the electrical items were long lead time, and each one of them had different strategies in their proposal.
And Archer has no issues on procuring those components.
Yeah, and that was one of the things they put in their proposal was it was working with the design team and working with us to get those submitted as quick as possible and get them reviewed and out. And their schedule reflects that.
And then by them submitting a schedule in with their bid proposal, that is tied to the best value evaluation.
Yes.
So that is now their baseline schedule.
Yes.
So we
And
don't come back and say, wait, we need more later.
So with the competitive seal proposal, there's 4 categories and the schedule is one of them. And it was 15%. Price is 40 points and it's set that way. You can't go any lower than that in the state of Texas. And then the other 2 fall in line with experience and key personnel. And those were like 20, 25, and 15. And so,
Okay.
but schedule was a hard driver on this one. In all honesty, we probably should have put more weight in scoring on the schedule looking back. But
We can tweak those things moving
Yeah.
forward. So
oh yeah, like I said, Archer presented the best package and had the highest score of the 3 scoring teams. So that is our recommendation. Okay, right. As of right now, we have 3.7 million in kayak fees. So
Awesome. Pretty sure we're getting in some more.
yes, we should be.
All righty.
anyone have any questions, or I can move us along? I'll make a motion that we award the 0.5 MGD Santa Clara wastewater treatment plant expansion to Archer Western in the amount of $15,051,545, which includes alternates number 2, 4, and 5. Period.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? No, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
All righty, going to item G, consideration and approval of an order by the Board of Directors of Green Valley Special Utility District authorizing the issuance of Green Valley Special Utility District prior lien water and wastewater system revenue bonds, new series 2025, providing for the payment of the principal and the interest on the bonds by a lien on and pledge of the pledged revenues of the combined utility system and providing for an effective date. Harry Kimball.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Great. Thank you very much. And thank you for letting me dial in this morning. We had a bunch of numbers to crunch beginning at 8:30 when the bids came in. And so it was tough not to be in front of a laptop to get it all pulled together for this meeting. So I appreciate the accommodation. So very pleased to report that we took bids this morning at 8:30 and received 4 bids for our offering. The winning bidder was Cruz and Associates with a net interest cost bid of 4.45%. That's a fixed rate over the 30-year term of the bond issue and compares very favorably to the budget number that we used for TCEQ approval purposes of 5.59%. So we're more than a full 100 basis points below what we used for budgeting purposes. And in dollar terms, that translates into $3.484 million over the 30-year term of the financing, better than budget. So very happy with this. The other bidders were Samco at 4.49%, RW Baird and Company at 4.5%, and then Hilltop Securities at 4.83%. 4 bids on a deal like this is a very good showing. It's a strong result. And the market simply moved in our favor from the point that we submitted for TCEQ approval. We did have some cushion in the interest rate that we used for budgeting purposes, which we always try to do so that we never come in higher than budget. In this case, we came in significantly lower than budget, so we're very pleased with that. Don't have anything else to report, but would be pleased to answer any questions that anyone might have, and I would highly recommend approval of the award to Cruz and Associates with their bid of 4.45%. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gage, do you have any comments?
Effective date,
The effective date would be today, correct, Mr. Kimball?
Yes.
Okay. The total amount bonded that we're going for is what dollar?
It's 14.365 million even.
After maturity, for the whole process, the grand total for this bond will be what?
So total principal and interest over the 30-year term would be 26.578 million. The breakdown on that would be the 14.365 of principal plus 12,213,000 of interest over the 30-year term.
Righty. Everybody understands we need to pay this stuff off as fast as possible. And no early payment penalties, correct?
We can't prepay for the first 5 years of the transaction, but after that point, we can prepay at any time with no penalty.
Righty. Anybody else have any questions, concerns on this item? No? Mr. Sherman?
I'll make a motion that we move to adopt an order authorizing the issuance of Green Valley Special Utility District prior lien water and wastewater system revenue bond, new series 2025, with an effective date of today.
In the amount of?
$14,365,000.
At an interest rate of?
4.45%.
To Cruz and Associates, correct?
Yes.
To Cruz and Associates. I had a script.
Okay.
You're killing me.
Second that. All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Sherman?
Aye.
Ms. McDaniel?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Mr. Hendricks?
Aye.
Mr. Robertson?
Aye.
Mr. Cumby?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. Appreciate yourself, Mr. Kimball. Thank you for your time and your efforts on this.
My pleasure. Thank y'all.
All right, moving to item H, consideration possible action related to non-standard water and wastewater service agreements. Has the construction committee had time to review this and given its opinion?
Yes, sir. The construction committee met and reviewed all of these, including the Hill Track, which is a modification of an existing non-standard agreement. Staff recommended approval, the committee recommended approval. We've dove through all these. And then Travis, if you'll spot check that one with ARWA afterwards here.
Yeah, we'll double check that. We'll have UEG run the model again on the feasibility.
Okay. But you don't see any or project any big issues coming out of that?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
Long play, not
It's
short term.
I think short term, we're probably fine. You know, I'm assuming they'll get phase one online before we fully built out, because that project has to wait for the 1.25 expansion of the wastewater treatment plant. So they've got.
They're
a long
limited
road
on our
ahead of them.
timeline.
Yeah.
Just bring it back to the
We-
board
yeah,
if there's
we've got
anything
ABU water.
we
So
need to know about.
I could bring it back to the construction committee.
Yeah.
So
Okay, Shan, real quick, just kind of want your take on this. I know in the past, we've gone through every single one and made a motion for every single one. I know other entities, they do a full, everything presented
If-
or pull if an item is
If you
controversial.
announce that you're taking up each one of those sub items together, you can have one vote. As long as you specify that you're acting on every one of those agenda items.
Okay. All right, so with that information from council, does anybody want to take any of these items out before we do a full report on it? Okay. All right, so we're gonna take items for vote.
You want me to make a motion?
If you want to make a motion, please read off every single one of them for the record.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the non-standard water and or wastewater service agreements, items H 1 through 5, the Givens and Riddiman water, the Givens and Riddiman wastewater, the Hill Track 210 communities water, the Hill Track 210 communities wastewater, and the Bush Tract for water.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope, ayes have it. Thank you for that. Thank you, Shan. All right, agenda item I, here updates on the items below from GVC General Counsel. Shan, do you have anything to report?
Nothing new to report. Legislation is still being filed. As everyone probably is aware, there's no speaker, which means there's no committees. And so I think some of the hotter bills are being held in folks' pockets and haven't been filed yet. But that it's going to be an interesting early January.
Nothing that you project pertaining to our industry that's going to be a hot item.
That's kind of difficult to anticipate.
But you're not
There's
having it
gonna,
on
there,
your
gonna-
radar.
there are going to be some groundwater related issues. I don't think they will have any impact on our current, permitted volumes, but they could impact our ability either favorably or unfavorably to obtain additional supply. There are two different schools out there. Some very much opposed to additional production that leaves the district from which it's produced. And there is a group of legislators that recognizing the water shortage problems that we're all having is working toward additional funding opportunities and research opportunities, collaboration with potential funding. So there's a lot going on, but nothing officially filed yet.
Okay, well, if they do, I'm pretty sure you'll let us know.
I'll be happy to.
You know if there's anything about the clams yet? The mussels, the clams, is
I
that?
have not seen anything about that, and I actually looked yesterday.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so at this time, as 9:44, we're going to go to executive session under Texas Government Code Section 551.071 through 551.074, 551.076 to discuss items J, K, L, M, N. And then we're also going to have some more discussions on the agenda item E5, ARWA Board of Directors comments with legal counsel concerning a matter over there. Time is 9:44.
Mr. President, could we take
Yeah, we're gonna
maybe
take a
a
10
little
minute
bit
before
longer
we-
break so that we can sign all these
Yeah, we'll-
documents?
Okay, so we'll do that. We'll sign the documents, then we'll start
Okay,
executive session.
sounds good. Thanks.
Time is 9:45. All right, time is 11:24. Calling this meeting back to order. An open session, we're gonna have agenda item O, consider impossible action on items discussed in executive session. Mr. Sherman.
Under, in reference to item L, I move that the Board of Directors authorize the release of approximately 60 acres of GVSUD sewer CCN area in the Wunderlich tract near the intersection of County Line Road and FM 1044 to be served by New Braunfels Utilities on the condition that the developer pay all GVSUD administrative and professional services costs to process the CCN release and compensate GVSUD, period.
A second.
I have a motion by Mr. Sherman, a second by Ms. McDaniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope.
Also under item L, I move that the Board of Directors authorize the transfer of approximately 26.24 acres of GVSUD water CCN area to the Phelan tract, in the Phelan tract near Schwab Road and IH 35 to the city of Schertz on the condition that the developer pays all administrative and professional services costs to process the CCN transfer and to compensate Green Valley SUD, period.
A second.
I have a motion by Mr. Sherman, second by Ms. McDaniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, guys have it. All right, going to agenda item P, consideration of proposed items to be included on next month's board meeting agenda. Nope, no comments. If you have anything, let Mr. Gage know. Going to item Q, adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, time is 11:25. That concludes this meeting. Thank you.